Hey guys, this is AC and this is my house. Today we're going to talk about why you should never, ever pay off your rental property. Let's assume you found $100,000 in your closet. You know, a problem that we all have all the time. So you find this $100,000 and you say, what's the best use of this money? Well, many in the FIRE community, which is financial independence and retire early, would say, take that $100,000 and go pay off your rental property. And that's great advice if you want terrible returns. What do I mean by that? Well, let's have a look on a spreadsheet. So let's assume this is the rental property you already have. It's $140,000 value. You put $40,000 down payment on it, and you have a $100,000 mortgage left over. With a 7% interest rate, your PITI payment's going to be about $1,000 a month. PITI stands for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And maybe we throw some repairs in there. And that means if we rent it out for $1,200, our cash flow's $200 a month. But what if we take that $100,000 and we pay off that balance? Well, that's going to make our PITI and repairs $0 and our cash flow $1,200. I know there's still going to be repairs, but we don't really need to budget for it. We'll just take it out of cash flow whenever we need it. So, is this the best use of your money? Well, I would say there's a better way to spend that $100,000. And if you're thinking it's take that $100,000 and buy another property in all cash, well, that is a step in the right direction. Let's have a look. So if we buy the second property in all cash for a purchase price of $100,000, well, down payment would be $100,000 and our mortgage balance would be $0. Our PITI is $0. Well, our PITI is not technically $0. There'll probably still be taxes and home insurance, but for example, we're going to make it $0 and our rental income $1,000. So our cash flow is $1,200. So if you remember, by paying off the first property, our cash flow is $1,200. But if we buy a second property with that, our cash flow is $1,200. Why is this better? Well, let's look at the portfolio value. If we look at the portfolio value, we see now that our portfolio went up $100,000. We still have a mortgage balance of $100,000. Our equity is still the same if we pay off one property or if we buy a second property with it. PITI repairs totals $1,000, but our rental income totals $2,200, and we still have the exact same cash flow. So by taking that $100,000 and buying a second house, we actually increase our assets. But is there another way that we could have spent that $100,000 to get even better return? Well, if you're catching on, you know I'm going to say yes, buy another property with a mortgage. And that is exactly what I'm going to advise you to do. So if we take that $100,000 and we buy a $400,000 property with it, that would leave us with a mortgage of $300,000. Let's assume PITI and repairs $2,200 on this property and our rental income on the property is $3,200. We get a cash flow of $1,000, add that to the previous cash flow of $200. Now our portfolio of these two properties brings in $1,200, the exact same amount of cash flow. And what does that mean for our portfolio? Well, if we look at the portfolio, you'll see spending that $100,000 now got us $540,000 in assets rather than $140,000 assets. I know there's liabilities on it. There's a mortgage of $400,000. We don't own that outright. The tenant is going to eventually pay down the mortgage balance each month. That's going to still keep our cash flow. But up until then, our cash flow is $1,200. So instead of taking $100,000 to make $1,200, we took $100,000 to make $1,200. Plus, we increased our portfolio size by $400,000. And why does that matter? Well, the beauty of spreadsheets is that it allows us to time travel. What do I mean by that? Let's see what combination works best for us in the future. Here we are in the future where everything went up 10%. The property values went up 10% and the rental income went up 10%. Maybe this is 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. The matter is we're going to look at everything that went up 10% in value. Well, we took our $100,000 and would have turned it into $154,000 in this situation if we just paid off our rental, and our cash flow would have gone up to $1,320. Here, portfolio value went up to $264,000 and our cash flow went up to $1,420. And in this situation, we're almost at $600,000 in portfolio value. That's a huge increase. It's almost 4 times the property value of paying off our original property. Not only that, our rental cash flow has gone up because the rental prices have gone up. So if something that was $2,000 is now $2,020. So you can see why it's always best to leverage your money as much as possible in real estate. Even if you have a terrible interest rate on your current property, it's best to keep it that way, or at least refinance it, but don't pay it off. This is the beauty of F.I.R.E, which I think is the best way to reach financial independence and retiring early through strategies like this. Now, if you have a property that's already paid off or very close to being paid off, what should you do? Well, to get the best bang for your buck, you do a cash out refi, and you take that cash and you go buy another property. So some people look at this and say, well, that's twice the work having 2 rental properties. And my response to that is, yeah, it's twice the work, but you make 5 times the money. So why would you not do it? Or you make more money and you can hire a property manager to manage both properties. Either way, it makes more sense to accumulate more rental properties. So that should always be your goal if you aim to house fire. So there you have it, and that's why you should never pay off your rental property. If you want more tips like this, stay tuned. Please hit the like button, leave your comments in the video, and I'll see you next time on the House of AC.